People living in medieval castles faced winters far colder than what most of us experience today, yet they managed to sleep, rest, and survive without modern heating, insulated windows, or electric comforts. Their ability to endure came from a deeply practical understanding of architecture, clothing, community behavior, and constant resourcefulness. Castles were built with thick stone walls, sometimes several meters deep, that acted as both protection and primitive insulation. Stone is cold, but it also absorbs and retains heat. Once the castle interior warmed, the temperature changed slowly, creating a stable environment compared to the brutally shifting outdoor climate. Windows, often small arrow slits or narrow openings, were designed for defense instead of comfort. But people adapted by adding wooden shutters, oiled cloth, animal hide, or parchment coverings to keep out freezing winds. Unlike modern glass, these coverings let in minimal light and heat, so the castle relied heavily on fireplaces. The Great Hall typically contained the largest hearth, burning constantly with wood or charcoal, becoming the heart of warmth for everyone living inside. Servants tended the fire day and night, because if a hearth died in the middle of winter, the room would become icy within hours. People often slept near these heated spots, especially those of lower social standing, who made beds or pallets on the floor close to the kitchen, stables, or great hall, where heat from cooking or animals lingered. Nobles had more private chambers, but even their rooms were cold by modern standards, so they used tapestries, rugs, and wall hangings to trap warmth like early forms of insulation. Floors were commonly covered with rushes or straw mixed with herbs, providing both warmth and a pleasant scent to counteract castle smells. When night came, the bed became a sanctuary of warmth. Medieval beds were surprisingly sophisticated. Wooden frames held straw, wool, feather, or rush-filled mattresses, sometimes layered for extra softness. Over the mattress rested heavy wool blankets, furs, and quilts that could weigh several kilograms. The weight of these layers helped trap heat, creating a cocoon effect. The most important feature, however, was the bed curtains. Medieval four-poster beds were surrounded by thick curtains that could be completely drawn shut, forming a small enclosed space that preserved body heat, much like a tent. Once a person slipped inside, the warmth increased rapidly. In addition to blankets, people often slept beside hot bricks or stones that had been warmed in the fireplace and wrapped in cloth before bedtime. These acted like medieval hot water bottles. Even more commonly, they slept fully dressed, wearing layers of woolen garments, undergarments, long socks, and nightcaps, because they knew how quickly exposed skin could freeze. A nightcap was essential. Losing heat through the head could make the entire body shiver, so covering it helped maintain warmth. The wealthy used fur-lined garments and bedspreads made from fox, bear, or sheep wool, while poorer residents used whatever materials they had, often mixing straw bedding with rough woolen blankets. Sleeping alone was rare. Whether among nobles or commoners, sharing a bed or sleeping in groups was a practical strategy to combine warmth. Even in noble households, attendants or family members shared chambers, while peasants and servants commonly slept side by side on communal bedding. Parents slept with children, and animals like dogs were allowed into sleeping spaces because their body heat added to the warmth. In many castles, the lord and lady shared their chamber, not only with each other, but occasionally with favored servants or guards who needed to stay close. Physical closeness eliminated the risk of freezing, and no one saw it as strange. It was a matter of survival. Medieval people were also accustomed to colder environments overall. They did not expect bedrooms to feel warm at night. Instead, they embraced the idea of bundling up. Their bodies adapted to long winters, and their daily routines supported warmth conservation. Firewood was precious, so they used it carefully and strategically. Large hearths burned in main rooms, but private chambers might only have a fire lit in extreme cold. Lighting a fire was labor-intensive, so fires were rarely allowed to die out. Charcoal braziers, portable metal bowls filled with glowing coals warmed rooms, but also produced smoke and required ventilation to avoid poisoning. As a result, people used them sparingly but strategically, such as before bedtime, to warm a chamber, before closing the curtains around the bed. Another key element of medieval sleep was the structure of the night itself. Medieval people typically followed a two-phase sleep pattern. They slept for several hours, woke for a period, and then returned to sleep. During the waking period, they might pray, talk quietly, tend a fire, adjust bedding, or check on animals. This segmented sleep naturally allowed them to maintain warmth because fires were maintained and bodies moved around instead of lying still for an uninterrupted 8 hours. Castles also relied on design tricks to trap heat. Spiral staircases were built clockwise, not only for defense but also to reduce airflow, preventing drafts from sweeping through the halls. Doorways were often hung with thick curtains, and rooms were arranged so that warm areas clustered together. Kitchens beneath bedrooms, for example, allowing heat to rise. Wealthier residents enjoyed heated stones placed under their mattress frames, warming the bed from below. Even the location of the castle mattered. Many were built with consideration for sunlight exposure, wind shielding, and natural insulation from surrounding hills or forests. In the coldest months, survival depended on constant effort. Servants scurried to carry firewood, maintain flames, wash and dry bedding, and distribute warm drinks like ale or broth before bedtime. People avoided bathing in winter because removing clothing and exposing wet skin to cold air was dangerous. Instead, they relied on linens, herbs, and perfumes to stay clean until the weather warmed. The psychological aspect of medieval cold also played a role. People expected winter to be harsh and accepted discomfort as part of life. Complaining about cold was normal. Yet, they did not fear it the way modern people might. They valued resilience and took pride in enduring tough conditions. Even the noises of winter, the wind whistling through shutters, the crackling fire, the rustling of straw became part of the nightly environment. Life inside a castle could be drafty, smoky, and chilly, but it was also communal, warm-hearted, and filled with routines designed to keep everyone safe. Dogs curled under blankets, children nestled between parents, guards huddled near the fire, and servants piled together near warm ovens. In this way, medieval people transformed cold stone fortresses into livable homes through collective warmth, ingenuity, and adaptation. Sleeping in a medieval castle was not the soft comfort of modern mattresses and central heating, but it was far from miserable. With thick bedding, warm clothing, group sleeping habits, bed curtains, hot stones, tapestries, layered floors, and carefully maintained fires, people created a surprisingly warm environment within the freezing stone walls. Their methods were so effective that some are still used today: wool blankets, hot water bottles, layered clothing, and even the idea of heavy comforters trace their roots to medieval winter traditions. What kept people alive was not luxury, but a combination of practical design, resourcefulness, and the warmth of community. Despite the unforgiving climate, medieval castle residents survived, slept, dreamed, and lived fully through winters that would challenge even modern standards.